Hey guys, Tim here with Wholesaling PPC, and I want to talk to you today about why good PPC campaigns fail. Okay, so first off, if you play Go Fish during a poker game, you're going to lose a ton of money. Probably the quickest way you can lose money you possibly can is to do that. And I see investors do it all the time, and I don't want you to do it, and I'll explain what I mean a little bit more later in the video. But first, let's define what I mean when I say a great PPC campaign. So a great PPC campaign is one that's set up properly, the structure is right, the keywords are set up right, the bidding is right, it's targeted for motivated house sellers, it's even managed properly. Okay, so even with all that being done properly, campaigns I see still fail all the time, and there's three reasons why. The first reason is one, the investor doesn't know how to close deals. The leads come into them, but they don't know how to maximize their assignment fees, their processes aren't set up, they don't call the leads back quick enough, and they lose deals. And I mean, that's going to kill any marketing campaign you do, pay-per-click or direct mail or whatever it is. But it's very important that you know how to close deals. That's pretty obvious, right? But you're not even going to be able to close deals if you don't get the leads in, and you're not going to get leads in if your website isn't set up properly. So the number two reason why is your website does not convert. So pay-per-click, right? Its goal really isn't actually to bring you leads. The goal is to drive traffic to your website. And then your website's job is to close the leads, okay? PPC is for traffic. Your website is to convert the traffic into leads. Now, there are PPC campaigns that focus on getting calls and stuff, but we're not going to go into that. Really, the bread and butter ones are driving traffic to your website to get leads. So even with the best PPC campaign, if your website is no good, you're going to get the best traffic, but you're not going to convert any of it. So what I'd recommend doing if you're getting started, get an investor carrot website. That's what we use. We require all of our clients to use it. It converts extremely well, very reliable. So get one of those. Make sure you customize it with local photos, local images, testimonials, reviews, content to differentiate yourself about your company. All that stuff is very important to convert the leads. Retarget them later on, but that's a whole nother video. We're not going to go into it. But let's go into the third reason why good PPC campaigns still fail miserably. And the third reason why, are you ready? The most common reason, it's because the campaigns end too soon. The campaigns end too soon. They're not running long enough for them to start working. And I see investors do it all the time. And they jump over from different agencies all the time, and they never give one campaign enough time to really pick up momentum. So let's go into why that is. One, first, agencies charge too much money. If your budget, half your budget is going to agency management fees, then you may run out of money before you can get a deal. That happens all the time, unfortunately. The second reason is the expectations are not set up front. So what I mean by that, let's say you have a client and he wants a 10 times return on their money in the first month, right? An investor who wants 10 times their money in the first month. That happens all the time where they may get a deal in the first month that has that kind of return, but it's not very common. And if they don't get that return, then they quit. They say, oh, PPC doesn't work. Well, it does work, but your expectations were not based in reality. So that's very important that you do understand. There is fluctuation, and we'll go into it a little bit. So for an example, let's say there's an investor in San Francisco, and I don't know the numbers for San Francisco. I've never done San Francisco before. It's a super expensive market, right? So let's say on average, an investor makes 40 grand a deal per wholesale deal in San Francisco. Maybe that's even low, I don't know, but let's say 40 grand a deal, and it costs them 10 grand a deal. So they spend 10 to make 40, right? 4 times the return. They spend 10 to get a deal, and they make 40 on average, okay? So you think, okay, well, we're doing pay-per-click, and we want to get a deal a month, so we're going to spend 10 grand a month, right? And after the first 10 grand, you should get a deal, right? But that's not really how it works because there's fluctuation. And we're talking about averages here, right? Long-term averages are not the same as linear reality that every 10 grand you spend, you're going to get a 40 grand deal. It doesn't work like that. What is probably more realistic is you could spend 30 grand up front and then get your first deal. So you don't get any deals until your first 30 grand. And then your second deal is when the next 2 grand you spend, right? So you spend 32, you get 2 deals out of it, but you know, a lot of investors, they wouldn't even spend that first 30 grand to get the deal in the first place, right? Because they don't understand the market and they don't understand the fluctuations. Do you think most investors would, after spending 15 grand, keep doing it if they don't understand like what the benchmarks are? No, they're going to quit way before that. So it's very important that you understand your market. And the same goes on the flip side. If you're in rural Minnesota and your whole population is 20,000 people, and you're trying to get a deal month for it, and let's say, Tim, I'm willing to spend $4,000 a month to get the deal a month in rural Minnesota. My population's 25,000 people. It's not going to happen. There's just not enough people. There's not enough volume to make it happen. So what'll happen is they'll run the campaign. They won't get a deal for 5 months, and they'll say, pay-per-click doesn't really work for me. I don't know why, it just doesn't work. But it does work, but the problem is that it's still giving you a good return. Maybe you can only get 1 or 2 deals a year from it because your market's so small. And that very well be the case. It doesn't mean the campaign's not running properly. It means that your market's super small and you don't really understand the game you're playing. And that's the problem here, is that investors are trying to play go fish. So they're going to the market and say, hey, Mr. Market, I'm fishing for a deal. Can you send me a $5,000 deal, please? Go fish. Okay, how about a $3,000 deal? Go fish. Okay, well, how about like at least a realtor referral lead or something? Nope, sorry, it doesn't work like that. I would say that pay-per-click is more like a poker match, right? So how do you play good poker? The best poker players, they go into their match with a strategy beforehand. They know what they're doing. They're very patient. They're not going to get one bad hand and say, this poker game doesn't work for me. I'm no good at it. No, they're patient. They wait for the good hand. They know it will come because they know the numbers. They know the odds, okay? And they bet based on the data. They bet based on the odds in front of them. They know each hand what the percentage of winning is, what the percentage of losing is, and they have their risk-reward strategy, based around that. And it's pay-per-click's really more like that. And if you're playing Go Fish during a poker match, you're going to lose a ton of money, okay? So before we work with anyone, we always have a strategy call with them to determine exactly what their cost per deal is, what their cost per lead is, how much they're making per deal, what their market size is, what the price point is. All these things are super important, which I think a lot of investors gloss over or they don't know the numbers. So if you're going to do pay-per-click, make sure you have your marketing plan down and you understand all these numbers and you understand the fluctuations that happen. And if you can't handle the risk of going 2 or 3 months without getting a deal, then pay-per-click really may not be for you, right? It does fluctuate more, I think, than other marketing channels like direct mail or cold calling. So the final thought I'll say is just be careful because there's a lot of content out there, courses and other agencies that will sell you on the hope of getting that big deal. And you only need one deal to pay for 2 years of pay-per-click. And that's not wrong, but it's not necessarily based on reality, okay? And I'm a wholesaler, right? And for many years, I didn't eat unless I got deals for my pay-per-click campaign, okay? I was forced to accept the reality of my market, right? I'm in Delaware, right? And it's like a pretty tiny market, right? Delaware is a tiny state. And I had to accept the limitations of it. And if I didn't, I was going to be very stressed out and my business wouldn't succeed and I wouldn't be able to eat. So understand reality, face the reality of the market you're in, the competition you have, what your budget is, what your goals are. And once you can accept the truth of it, then you can have a plan around it and you will be more successful, okay? So that's my spiel today. I hope you guys liked it. I would love to hear your comments below about your experiences, if you agree or disagree. I've done a bunch of markets in the country, but we haven't done them all. Maybe your experience is different. I would love to hear about it. If you agree, disagree, please. I don't pretend to know everything, but I'd love to have that discussion with you. And this is just what I've seen from my experience with other investors. So appreciate it, guys. Take care, and I will see you in the comments below. Thanks.